It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you and welcome to the Science Bowl. Nice to have you here today for the science quiz program. Here in the Prince George's schools, we have two outstanding elementary schools playing today. We've got Rogers Heights and Ridgecrest vying for the chance to move on to the semifinals in our competition. The categories of questions are the ones we've had for 36 years here in the Science Bowl. Green things, zoo parade, body systems, let's get physical, science potpourri, and Dateline Science. 3 questions in each category, and we have some anxious and talented young people ready and willing to play. See if you can keep up with them. Let's meet our first team. They hail from Ridgecrest Elementary School. Marcos, would you wave to everybody at home, please? Marcos, nice to have you here today. He is a 6th grader. He's joined by another 6th grader. Hey, Kari, nice to have you on the show. And Eel is a 5th grader, also a part of this wonderful team from Ridgecrest. All right, it's time to start the game. We're going to go to the green things for 5 points. And if you're ready, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Yeah, here we go. All right, good luck. Ridgecrest, here we go. Green things for 5 points. What tiny green leguminous vegetable kept a fairy tale princess from falling asleep even though she was atop a pile of mattresses?
It's the Princess and the Pea.
That's it. It is Princess and the Pea. Thank you, Marcos. Yes, a famous story. Boy, that girl was very sensitive. She could feel that pea through all those mattresses. For 15 points in green things. Good start. Many large deer, like elk and moose, feed on these L-initialed plants that are a combination of an algae and a fungus.
What do you think it is?
Has to start with the letter L.
I'm not sure yet, but how about Katie?
I'm not sure
Okay.
either.
Yeah, that might be a tough question for you. They're called lichens, L-I-C-H-E-N, lichens. It's a favorite food of reindeer. 25 points. Last question in the green things category. All right. Most herbivores, like cows and deers and giraffe, they rely on helpful bacteria in their digestive system to break down, because they eat so many plants, to break down this C-initialed carbohydrate that gives plants their rigidity. Plants don't have skeletons, but they are able to stand upright because they have this C-initialed carbohydrate, one of the most common carbohydrates around the world. Can you name it for me?
I think it's carbon.
Yeah, I think it's carbon too.
Carbon is a very good guess, and carbon is a very common element, but in the case of plants, it's called cellulose. Cellulose. That's one of the reasons we can't go out and grab a handful of grass, because we cannot break down the cellulose as some of those other animals, those herbivores, can. Let's move on to the zoo. Zoo parade. 5 points. Wild horses and wild cats are known as feral animals, F-E-R-A-L, meaning that they were once tamed by what D-initialed process we call animals that have been tamed, like cows and horses and sheep and dogs and cats. What kind of D-initialed animals?
I can't remember the name right, but if I'm not, it starts like domesticated.
You got it. That's exactly right. Boy, you pulled that one out of the hat. Good answer. Good answer for 5 points. Let's go to 15 points. Nice answer there. Let's go and show you a picture for the 15-point zoo parade question. If you look carefully, that's a porcupine. You know, he's got all those sharp quills, and he, in that snowstorm, is feeding on the antlers of a dead deer. Why would he be eating the antlers of a dead deer? That's a very good question. Porcupines are often seen doing this, Because those antlers contain what valuable mineral with the chemical symbol capital C, small a. Capital C as in cat, small a, which happen to be the first two letters in the name of this mineral. A mineral that you need for strong bones and strong teeth.
I think it's calcium. What do you think?
Yeah, I was about to say calcium as well.
I agree.
Wonderful. All three of you know it's calcium, and you got those 15 points. Well done. All right, keep it up. 25 points in the zoo. You know, animals like buffalo that feed mainly on grass and cows are known as grazers. They graze, Grazers. But animals like elephants and goats and giraffes that feed on leaves and shrubs and trees have what same name as software like Google Chrome, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge. Those are all known as different whats. You select one on your computer.
I think it's software.
What do you think, Katie?
Same name as software like Google Chrome and Firefox and Microsoft Edge. Those are all different kinds of whats. Have you heard of browsers?
Well,
Browsers, and you know, animals that feed on leaves, they're also known as browsers. Let's go to the body for 5 points. Body systems. Because this joint in your body can give way, it can collapse, it can buckle without any warning. It's called a trick what? Think of the different joints in your body, in your skeleton. Which one is sometimes called a trick one because it can give way without any warning whatsoever and you fall down? It's a trick knee, a trick knee. And you know, that's, when you go into the doctor's office and he tests your reflexes. I don't know if he's ever done it to you, but they have a little hammer and they tap your knee and your leg shoots up. You don't have any control over that. It's a reflex action. Well, that knee joint is a complicated joint, but sometimes it just gives way. Okay, 15 points in body systems. Your eye is an amazing organ. Instead of reflecting incoming light waves, the lens of your eye bends them in a process known by this R-initialed word that is the opposite of reflecting. Light waves are coming into the lens of your eye and they get bent. It's almost like, you've all seen this, you have a glass of water. If you take a pencil and put that pencil in the glass of water, it looks like it's bent because of this R-initial process. The light is not reflected, it is what?
What do you think, Katie?
It's called refraction. Refraction. And if you go swimming in the summer and you look in the swimming pool and you're swimming on hey, there's a quarter on the bottom, I'm going to go get it. If you dive straight down to get it, where to go? Because the light is refracted, so it is not where you think it is. Remember that. Body systems for 25 points. Last question before we take our first break. There's a new television show called Last Man about the dying out of all the mammals on Earth who possess this lettered chromosome. We know that if you are a woman, the X chromosome is dominant. What is the chromosome that is dominant for a man? Those of you that might have done genealogy studies probably have seen these letters before.
If I'm not wrong, it's Y. What do you?
You got it. You got it. It's the Y chromosome. That's the way to do it. 25 points. You went out with a flourish there. You have 100 points. That's great. You're doing a fine job. We'll see you in a couple minutes. It is now time to meet that team from Rogers Heights Elementary School. Let's say hello to Lander. Lander, wave to everybody at home. He's the 6th grader out there. He looks like he's ready and raring to go. He's joined by fifth grader Jeremiah. Hey, Jeremiah, waved everybody as well. He's smiling, and Kaylee is smiling too over there. Kaylee is a fifth grader. Nice to have her on the program as well. If you are ready, Rogers Heights, let's get to the green things category. Here's your 5-point question. During a forest fire in Yosemite National Park, park rangers wrapped a fire-retardant blanket around General Sherman, the world's tallest and one of the oldest of these giant trees.
What do you think, guys?
Right now, I'm kind of thinking maybe an evergreen tree.
What do you think, Kaylee?
He said it was one of the tallest trees.
One of the world's tallest and one of the oldest of these giant trees.
Right, and I don't think an evergreen is the tallest. I think it's probably located in California. There's like this national park of it. It has this name starts or has red in it. I'm pretty sure the red.
Okay, we're gonna have to ask for an answer here. Lander, do you have any idea? Correct answer is the redwoods. The redwoods, the giant redwoods and the sequoia trees. That is a national treasure, the biggest, and they were having forest fires out there, and usually those trees can withstand fires, but they had wrapped blankets around, fire retardant blankets. Let's go for 15 points in green things. When a baby mammal stops suckling and begins to eat solid food, which can be plants, it is said to be what W-initialed word?
What do you think, guys?
So he said basically that when a baby mammal stops drinking milk and they start eating solid food, and he said basically that it's a W initial word that so it's basically capable. So it's basically the word for solid food when the baby transforms.
Probably if you have a dog at home who's had puppies, after they have suckled, after they've drunk milk, after they move on to solid food, that's called they've been weaned. Weaned, W-E-A-N-E-D. Remember that. Let's go to 25 points. This is the last question in the green things category, and it's a visual question. Look at the picture, if you would. Wow, it was a gruesome discovery. Some butterflies related to monarchs have been seen wounding and sucking up fluids from caterpillars of their own species that have been feeding on this plant. The plant that contains chemicals that make monarchs bad tasting to predators. If you know about monarchs, those butterflies that migrate from here to Mexico every year by the millions, this is their main food. They eat this plant because it has a chemical that makes themselves bad tasting, so no bird will eat it. Can you name that plant? It grows around here.
I would probably say cotton.
Okay. It did look like cotton there, didn't it? Because it had that fluffiness there. That I can see where you came up with that answer. It's called milkweed. Milkweed. And sometimes if you're out in the woods, they form these little pods in the fall, and that you just saw one there, and if you break them open, it's like dust flying into the air. You have the seeds flying out, like little bits of cotton. Let's go to the zoo. Zoo parade for 5 points. Nylon, a material made by a company called DuPont, it's not a natural substance, took the place of this worm-made sheer material that had been used for making women's stockings. There are worms that spin this substance. It's beautiful, it's soft, and it's used for making stockings and a lot of other things that people wear.
So I think it's maybe cotton or
That's a good try. Cotton is a good try. Have you ever heard of silk? Silk. There are things called silkworms. Google that sometime, silkworms. And they raise them and they produce this silk, and that's what they use for making materials for clothes. But there are synthetic, there are artificial versions of that like nylon. Let's go to 15 points. I hope you'll get this one. There was an award given recently for a photo of one of these speedy birds associated with a coyote in cartoons that was standing in front of the U.S. border wall with Mexico. This bird, it runs along the ground. It can fly. It can eat snakes and lizards. And in a Warner Brothers cartoon, it is always outwitting a coyote. Can you name that bird?
Roadrunner? A roadrunner?
It's a roadrunner. Yes, indeed. Give yourself 15 points and a pat on the back. And a pat on the back. That's the way to do it. That's the way to. I like this last question in the zoo. Keep it going now. Come on, you got to get some more points. In 1957, a doctor was rushing to produce a vaccine for something called the Asian flu, which back then was a pandemic, like COVID is today. So he did something very strange. He told all the farmers in the world, don't you kill your roosters, your male chickens. Don't you kill your roosters, because in order to grow the vaccine, I need chicken eggs that have been what?
What do you think, guys?
Could it be chicken eggs that were fertilized?
You got it. You got it. That's the way to do it. Great answer there, Kaylee. It is, or Jeremiah, excuse me, fertilized eggs. He needed eggs that were fertilized, and the roosters did it. Nice answer. Nice answer. Got yourself 25 more points. You're smiling with good reason. Let's move on to the body system for 5 points. You may remember the Olympics in Tokyo. It was a great contest. You know, when a golfer has trouble with his swing, he just can't get it right. Even someone like Tiger Woods, they say he's got the yips, Y-I-P-S. Oh, he's got the yips. He's got the yips. So I don't know what it is. He can't get his swing right. But when gymnasts like Simone Biles, you remember Simone Biles, the gymnast. She was the one who can do backflips that nobody else in the world can do. When she got disoriented, she had to drop out. She suffered from something called this. Not the yips, but she called them these.
What do you think, guys?
Maybe arthritis, because it has to do with joints and she has to use her hands.
Yeah, final answer. Let's go with arthritis.
Arthritis. She probably has some arthritis already. They call them the twisties. If you get the twisties, she said, that's when you got to stop, because when she was up in the air, she couldn't tell what was up and what was down. And because she was so disoriented, she said, I can't continue. She did one at the very end, but she sacrificed a lot of opportunities for gold medals. The twisties, remember that. The yips with golfers, 15 points. Well, the word visual refers to the sense of sight, and auditory refers to the sense of hearing, what you're doing right now. You've got your headphones on. The word haptic, H-A-P-T-I-C, refers to this sense, not hearing, but this sense that involves pressure and texture. Think of your other senses.
Your tongue or taste? I said touch because you said something to do with texture.
Kaylee's got some ideas here. Kaylee, what sense are you thinking about? Jeremiah has said taste. What's that? Touch? Touch? All right, let's go to Lander. Lander, what is the answer for your team?
Taste?
No, actually, Kaylee was right. Touch. Pressure and texture, that's your sense of touch. Kaylee, that was a good answer there. I'm sorry we couldn't give you the points. 25 points in body systems. Last question before you take your break. When you eat a candy bar, Reese's peanut butter cups are my favorite. When you eat a candy bar, it's full of sugar. When you do that, You know, they know it. It's not supposed to be good for you, but I'm sorry, they taste good. When you eat that candy bar, it causes a jump in your blood sugar level. And then the organ known as your pancreas starts to release this hormone to help to break it down. Jeremiah's eyes lit up. Can you name that hormone?
Insulin?
Yes, sir. It is insulin made by the pancreas. He knew that answer, I could tell. 115 points. You're looking good. Yes, indeed. I can see you're excited. Take a little break. We'll bring you back, talk to you about yourselves, your schools, and give you the next 9 questions. Nice work, guys. And it's time now to welcome back that team from Ridgecrest, and let's find out about the captain and the players. Marcos, nice to have you here today. How do you know so much about science? Because you do, and you speak so well.
Thank you. Well, I read a lot of books, and I found interest in it.
I can tell you're a reader, and I can tell you're a good observer, and you're taking in a lot of information, and obviously you're a great student, and they chose well when they picked you as the captain. And I hope you do well in the second half. I know you will. Let's meet your other teammates here. Kayri, nice to have you on the show today. Why did you want to be on the Science Bowl? We're glad you're here.
I was on it last year as an alternative, and I wanted to come back as a second try.
Oh, I'm glad you did that. And you know, last year we were on Zoom as well, and we thought maybe we would be able to have you in your schools today, but of course things intervened. And I'm glad you're here today. What do you hope to do someday, Kayri? Have you thought about a career?
I've thought about becoming a zoologist.
Wow, yeah. So do you have pets at home?
One rabbit.
One rabbit, all right. So you got to start out, and you know, if you can take care of a rabbit and keep it healthy and happy, that's a good sign. Nice to have you here today. Let's go to Eyal. Nice to have you on the program as well. And tell us why you wanted to be on the show. You're doing a nice job.
I would like to be on the show because I would like to challenge myself.
That's a perfectly good reason. And we need to do that not just now, but throughout our lives so we don't get too comfortable, because you always want to see how you can grow. And you're doing a fantastic job, and I like that motivation. If you're ready, let's go to the Let's Get Physical category. So Ridgecrest, here we go. Let's get physical for 5 points. On Titan, one of Saturn's moons, astronomers have noticed lakes that are full of methane and ethane. Lakes full of ethane and methane, substances that here on Earth are in what different state of matter? There are 3 states of matter. Up there on Titan, they're liquids, methane and ethane. Here on Earth, they're what?
What do you think, Ilwa?
I haven't come up with an answer.
Folks, those are gases. They're gases. There are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas. So you know that sometimes you can liquefy nitrogen. You know, Bill Nye, the science guy, famously has liquid nitrogen. Normally, we breathe gaseous nitrogen. You can take a banana and put it in liquid nitrogen and bring it out and hit it with a hammer, and it shatters. So there are different states of matter. So we were looking for gas. Let's get physical for 15 points. When a fruit ferments, like if you leave an apple too long on the ground, it will become alcoholic. It turns into an alcoholic beverage. For that to happen, you've got to have sugar. The sugar is in the apple, and you need some of these E, like an elephant, E initial chemicals that help chemical reactions go forth. You have these E initial chemicals in your body to help digest foods. Almost all chemical reactions need these E initial chemicals. They call them catalysts. Any idea? They're called enzymes. Enzymes. You've probably heard of enzymes before. All right, I know you're going to get this one. Let's get it 25 points. If you watch television at all, if you listen to weathermen, I used to be a television weatherman. I used to use the word all the time. This P, as in Paul, P initial term describes the various kinds of water falling from the sky. Rain, sleet, snow, different kinds of what?
Precipitation.
Yeah, that's it, precipitation. That's the way to do it, Marcos. Got yourself 25 points. Good going. Let's go to potpourri for 5 points. How many of you have ever been to the ocean and swum in the ocean? Have you ever been to the ocean? Anybody there? You know, if you go, good. You know, you can snorkel. You can put on a snorkel and a mask and you can stay on the surface. Or you can put a tank on your back and flippers and you can go down. You can scuba dive. You can scuba dive. Scuba divers rely on an apparatus that are the 5 letters in scuba. Self-contained U breathing apparatus. What does the U stand for? Self-contained U breathing apparatus. If you are a deep sea diver and you're going down, what's the U? A self-contained what breathing apparatus?
I'm thinking under. What are you thinking, Katie?
I was thinking under as well.
Under.
That's it. Underwater, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus is perfect. Nicely done. Let's go to potpourri for 15 points. I like how I see you're starting to think together. You're starting to finish each other's thoughts and sentences. Let's look at this picture for potpourri for 15 points. Dishes. Some of you may have some fancy dishes at home that your parents call china. China, oh, it's very expensive and don't break it. Only take it out on special occasions. Well, some china tableware, like these plates and saucers, are now vegan, V-E-G-E-N, because they contain none of the ash found in other chinas that they get by burning these structures that make up cow skeletons. What makes up a cow skeleton that could be burned to produce ashes that would be used in making plates?
What are you thinking? You, Iwa?
No.
These structures make up cow skeleton. We were looking for bones. They burn bones that make up the skeleton. Okay, let's go potpourri for 25 points, and we have a multiple choice. Elk. Some of the largest deer in the world with big antlers. Elk are the most polygamous of the world's deers. Poly, P-O-L-Y. Poly, you should know what that means. Gamous, G-A-M-O-U-S, like in gametes. Elk are the most polygamous of the world's deer, meaning they have the largest variety of food, the longest life, or the most mates of any other species. Largest variety of food, longest life, or most mates. Polygamous. What you think, Marcos?
I think it would be, what animals did you say?
Elk. They're giant deer.
I think it would be the second one.
The longest life. Is that what you're going to go with there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Polygamous means actually they have the most mates. So they mate with many, the males mate with many different females. They have they call it like a harem. That's very common in animal societies. Let's go to Dateline for 5 points. I think you'll know this one. Every year on February 2nd, a groundhog in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. They wake him up. He's sleeping sound. They pull him out of his den, and if he sees his shadow or if he doesn't, it will determine whether or not spring is going to come early that year. What do you call that sleeping state that groundhog was in that they rudely awakened him?
Hibernation?
Yes, right. He's hibernating. He's not bothering anybody, and they just pull him up out of the ground. I'm surprised he doesn't bite them. Hibernation is right. Thank you, Marcos. Good answer. 2 more questions in the game. 15 points. Louis Pasteur created the first vaccine. Ira Robiquet developed the first artificial sweetener. And a man whose name was Ferdinand Runge, you've probably never heard of him, nor have I, discovered this stimulant chemical that is now in everything from cocoa to tea to cola drinks to coffee. What chemical is in all of those things? People get up in the morning and grab a cup of coffee because what's in there to get them going?
Caffeine.
Caffeine.
Yeah, caffeine is right. Good. 15. For 25 points. Adolf von Baer won a Nobel Prize for, among other things, discovering the dye used to make jeans. Do any of you wear jeans when you get home or when you're out? Yeah, if you wear jeans, you know their color. Well, they had to be dyed that color. The dye is this I-initialed color, part of the visible spectrum that you know as Roy G. Biv. The I in Roy G. Biv is what I-initialed color that is the dye they use to dye jeans blue.
I think it's indigo. What do you think?
I agree.
It is indigo. That's what got yourself another 25 points. You really bolstered your score. Your final tally today, we're 175. Great job there. Let's see if that's enough to win the game. Nice work. All right. We welcome back that team from Rogers Heights. Let's find out about our players. They're all just terrific. Let's start with the captain, Lander. Lander, tell us how you know so much about science. You do?
Well, I started science last year. I was really good at science in 5th grade, so my teacher recommended Mr. Pippet or Dr. Pippet to let me in the science ball. So I've been training for a year, so that's how I know about science.
Well, we appreciate that you've kept training and you've kept up with science, and Mr. Pitt recognizes what a fine young man you are, and he was right to make you captain to this team, and I hope you keep up the good work in the second half here. All right? Hope you're having some fun today, too. You enjoying this? All right,
yes.
That's great. Thank you, Lander. Let's talk to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, I just love when your face lights up when I ask a question, because if you know the answer, you just can't wait to tell me. How do you know so much science?
To be honest, what is it called? At the start of this year, I was really interested in science, and my 4th grade teacher from last year recommended me to science, and I was really happy, and I just started. That's how I started science, studying about it.
Well, you've been very successful with that, and happy to find you. You seem like a happy young fellow, and just keep that up. And it's life is tough enough, so go through, find the things that you're good at, and things that make you smile. You're doing a nice job. What do you want to do someday? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I have.
What would you like to do?
I would like to be a military officer, and maybe when I retire being a military officer, I want to be a chemist, specializing in chemistry and elements.
I think that's great. You've got that all planned out. Well, the armed forces would be lucky to get you, and so would the chemistry lab. Keep it up in your good work here. Let's talk to the last member of your team. Kaylee is here with us, and Kaylee, you knew that we were talking about touch there, and you came up with that great answer there. How do you know all the science that you do?
I think it's because whenever I study one topic of science, it always leads to another topic, and then I'm always interested in to learn those other topics, and it keeps growing out like that. It keeps branching out, so I think that's how I know a lot of science.
Boy, I love hearing you say that, because you're absolutely right. When you know one thing, it leads to another and then to another, and it's like when you go online. You can never finish the internet because you're always finding things that pique your curiosity. And obviously, you're a curious person in the sense that you're always trying to get some new information. Nice job. Good luck in the second half, Kaylee. All right, Rogers Heights, it's now time for your last 9 questions. Are we ready? Are we ready? Give me 10 more minutes of your time here. All right, you're doing such a great job. Here's Let's Get Physical for 5 points. Hot chocolate. Oh boy, it's great on a cold morning like the ones we've been having. Hot chocolate came into existence when a Dutch chocolatier combined cocoa from a cacao tree with certain salts, which can turn red litmus paper blue. Meaning cocoa is this, the opposite of acidic.
What do you think, guys?
So this has something to do with the pH scale, and I think the opposite of wait, can you repeat what you said about the litmus
I certainly
paper?
can, yes. When they were making hot chocolate, when they were coming up with the formula, they used a certain salt which can turn red litmus paper blue. That meant that cocoa is this, the opposite of acidic.
What do you think, Kaylee?
Maybe, I don't know if it's on the pH scale, but I'm pretty sure it might be natural.
Let's go
Kaylee,
with
what did you
Kaylee.
say? That you said that it might be what?
Natural?
No, neutral? No. The opposite of acidic is basic. Acids and bases. Another word for basic is alkaline. Alkaline and acidic. All right, let's try 15 points. All right, you got the answer, insulin, before. I remember that Jeremiah came up with it. All right, for discovering the molecular structure of insulin, because it is a molecule, the key hormone produced by the pancreas, Frederick Sanger won a Nobel Prize in this field of science. He won the Nobel Prize in what scientific field for discovering the molecular structure of insulin? If you know anything.
It might be either physics or chemistry.
Chemistry it is. Perfect. Nicely done. It is the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Thank you, Kaylee. Multiple choice. Multiple choice. To separate the different colors in a suspicious dye, this is the 25-point question. CSI, crime scene investigator scientists, they often use TLC, not tender, loving care, but rather thin layer chronology, chromatography, or cosmology. To separate different colors in a suspicious dye, they use TLC, thin layer chronology, chromatography, or cosmology. There are clues in those words. Pick one for 25 points if you get it right.
Could it be chronology?
Could be. I need to hear from the captain which one you want to choose. Chronology, chromatography, or cosmology?
The second one.
The second one, chromatography. That's it, because chroma refers to color. Chronology is time, and cosmology is the universe. You got yourself 25 points. Nicely done. That's the way to go, Captain. Potpourri for 5 points. Until last year, for 5 points. Historians say that the Egyptian queen Cleopatra once threw a party, get this, when she dissolved 2 pearls in a glass of acetic acid, and then she drank it. You're a crazy person. Not really, because acetic acid is really better known as this kitchen condiment that oftentimes you can put on salad, for instance.
Ranch?
It also could be salt.
Yeah, it could be salt.
Remember, drink. She drank it.
Right,
So it's got to be a liquid. It's got to be a liquid.
lemon.
Acetic acid is vinegar. It's vinegar. So oil and vinegar put together for a salad. So if she put the pearls, those are the things you find inside oysters. They're precious stones. She put them in and they dissolved in that because it's an acid, acetic acid, a weak acid. You were talking about the pH scale. It's low. It's rather medium on the scale there. All right, so the answer there was vinegar. All right, let's go to 15 points. Boy, this sounds like something out of Dr. Frankenstein. A couple scientists have founded a company, and they hope to de-extinct the woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth is extinct. Used to be a kind of elephant. So what they're doing is they're combining the DNA from fossils of the mammoth with Asian elephants today to get a combination of the two. That combination of two different species coming together is known as one of these.
A hybrid?
Hybrid?
Yes, it did. It is a hybrid for 15 points. You all knew that one. That's the way to do it. 25 points. Last one in the category, potpourri. Until last year, when the last of the hurricane names for the season ran out. You know, we name hurricanes for men and women, and we use French and Spanish and English names. Last year, they started with Anna. They ended with William. And then there were more hurricanes. They said, we don't have any more letters in the alphabet. So they went to the Greek alphabet. We know about the Greek alphabet because we've had alpha, beta, gamma, delta. These are the strains of COVID too. Now we're at Omicron. What is the last letter? It's O initialed in the Greek alphabet. The last
Omega?
of the 20. Yes, it is. It is Omega for 25 points. You knew that one right away, Lander. Thank you. Congratulations. Let's move on to Dateline for 5 points. Here we go. Chemist Frederick Hopkins discovered that animals, like us, we can't exist just on fats and proteins and carbohydrates. No. We need some accessory factors that can be known as these, such as B12, C, D, and A. Those are all different kinds of what? Accessory foods that we need in our diet.
Vitamins?
Vitamins, yes, indeed. They are all vitamins. You got it. You guys are doing really, really well. Let's do the 15-point question. It's a visual in Dateline. Let's have a look. This beautiful insect is one you do not want to see in your backyard. A student who entered a 4-H contest in Kansas is now being asked where he got his spotted lanternfly, an invasive species that had never been in the state of Kansas before. Since it is a destructive insect, that young man had to report his sighting to the USDA, the United States Department of what? Because this insect could be destructive to trees and crops like corn and wheat and barley. He had to report his sighting to the USDA, the United States Department of what?
Animals?
Yeah, that's a good guess. Good guess. The Department of Agriculture. Agriculture. Agriculture is when you grow things. You had a good guess, though. I have just one more question for you. Just one more. Let's get it. There is a spacecraft that NASA just flew called the Resilience spacecraft. Actually, this was not flown by NASA. This was one of those private rockets that have been seen going up. You know, you've been watching them on TV. They go up for 10 minutes and they come back down. The Resilience spacecraft that flew 4 civilians, people like us. They went into orbit, though, for 3 days back in September. They had the largest cupola of any spacecraft ever, meaning that the astronauts had, which of the following? The best sleeping arrangements, the largest space lab, or the best view of any astronauts ever. They had the largest cupola of any spacecraft ever, meaning the astronauts had the best sleeping arrangements ever, the largest space lab ever, or the best view ever.
What do you think, guys?
I think it could be the largest lab ever.
I feel like it's the biggest, the best view ever.
And Kaylee, what's your thought?
It's the biggest lab.
It is up to you, Lander.
Let's go to lab.
Oh, you should have stuck with view. View was the right answer. That's all right. You still had a good game. 200 points. 200 points. That sounds pretty good to me. It's real good. Good game. Well, it was a great game. Boy, each team had wonderful second halves, and they were pulling out those great answers there at the end. I hope you were able to keep up with them at home. Keep in mind, these are 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. They really acquitted themselves beautifully today. We congratulate the two coaches, Dr. Pitt from Rogers Heights, Miss Allred from Ridgecrest, and their principals are proud of them too, Miss Shipley from Ridgecrest and Miss Bottoms from Rogers Heights, and we have some alternates out there as well on these teams. Chastity waved to everybody. She's from Rogers Heights. We have Callie Kadani and Carla from Ridgecrest, and I want you all to give yourselves a nice round of applause. Everybody clap for everybody. You know, we don't have a studio audience here, but I want people to see that we are clapping and we're proud of what you did here today. Your schools are proud of.
Can I please say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think we should mention Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, please wave. Who was a 6th grade champion, science champion. Mr.
Yes,
Walker.
yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, and we also have Ellison as an alternate. Thank you, Mr. Z.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you doing that. We don't want to neglect anybody. That's why we bring everybody. Thank you, Dr. Pitt. All right, our final tally today. It was a hard-fought match. Ridgecrest 175, Rogers Heights 200. Rogers Heights, congratulations. Congratulations too to Ridgecrest. That means Rogers Heights, you're going to be back to play Dodge Park, and we will be sending you the link for the 1:30 game. And I just want to let everybody know that we appreciate you taking time to do this. You didn't have to do this. It takes some courage to do it. Most of you have never done this before, but I do hope you do it again. I hope you come back next year and the year after and the year after. You can play up until the 8th grade. And I hope, whether you want to be a scientist or not, that this is something that spurs you on and lets you know that you are doing all the right things. You're studying, you're challenging yourself, you're being good sports, you're doing all the things that we adults want children to do. So you're just wonderful. You're just wonderful. So have a nice holiday. I hope to see you on the Science Bowl again. Make sure you watch your program when it's up on YouTube. And Mr. Pitt, Dr. Pitt, I'll send you the link for this afternoon. Anybody else want to say anything? Did you have a good time? I hope you had a good time. All right. See you all later. Happy holidays, everybody.